to go. All right, thank you. I have just started recording today's meeting, and thank you all for getting here so promptly. I think we've got quite a few things to get through, and I know that more people are joining right now.
Just a minute, I get it finished.
Oh, I'm trying.
Meg?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to mute myself. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't usually do it on the phone, but I have to.
And I just wanted you to know that you weren't muted, rather than like, just in case. You're good now. Thank you. So usually we would go straight into the business part of the meeting and start with approving minutes. But we have 3 people coming to speak to us on other things as well. So what we have on the agenda, and okay, this is where I'm going to see whether I'm being as clever as I think I am, and I'm not. So that's not going to happen right now. I need to open them first. I actually have the agenda, which I'm hoping I can share. But now it's not going to show where I thought it was. So maybe I'll give up again. No, I won't. I'm going to try harder. I will not give up. I used to give up. Now I'm going to. Here we go. All right. How much are you seeing the whole of the front of my screen, or are you seeing the whole of the document?
We're seeing half of your screen.
All right. Is that better?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So here's the agenda for now. That we're going to be approving the minutes from the October meeting. We're going to be hearing from Meredith about the Senior Celebrations Committee, which is a new committee this year. Really sort of working with After Prom and a whole group of other people, just to really ensure that the class of 2021 gets a proper sort of sense of the greatness of their last year, despite everything that's being thrown at them. Then Mitty's going to talk to us about the red and white for this year, because that's all online, and it's really important that we're there to support it. And Mr. Rodhams should be coming at 5 minutes to 7 or around there to talk to us about the yearbook and how the photos are working for that. So I'm aware before I even start that our schedule is not going to run 100% normally. Okay. But I feel like we'll get there soon enough. All right, so that was it. You're not going to get another chance to see that. So if Meredith, if you are ready to let us know all about the Senior Celebrations Committee, that would be wonderful. I think there are people on here who probably don't know what it is at all. So if you can really explain what was going on with that would be awesome. Thanks.
Sure. And hi, everybody. Nice to see so many faces I haven't seen in far too long. So traditionally, there's been an after prom committee. And for those who are new to the high school or younger kids, that's been a committee of parents. I don't know how many years it's been going on, but generally the prom is fully planned. And let me reiterate this, because this has caused a little bit of angst lately. The prom itself is planned by the students in the school. No parental involvement. However many years ago, and I don't know how many years ago, the parents started a completely parent-driven, non-school sponsored event called After Prom. So the kids go to prom, go home, change their clothes, go to after prom. Games, prizes, food, I don't even know what the traditional hours are, to be honest, but till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's the concept is that it's a safe place that they're together. Hopefully they get in less trouble, and it's more of an opportunity for a larger group to be together. So this committee would have probably been an after prom committee in a normal year, but as we know, it's not a normal year. So last year's after prom committee, as well as like senior clap out and some of the other committees, we shifted our energies towards how can we celebrate the seniors. And you saw like the gift bags, the yard signs, the black and white photos, a lot of different things were done by different groups of people. So this year we're trying to put that all under one umbrella called Senior Celebration, because to be honest, we don't know if there's going to be an after prom event or not. And we still want to make sure we raise money and do things to support our seniors. So I'm quickly going to address the money first. And I don't think I'm speaking out of line for anything Principal Juli hasn't already said on a parent meeting. It's no secret that with no homecoming and everything, the senior class student council, they're struggling. They're raising some money, but they by no means are going to get to the number they normally get to. We're raising money. We're not exactly sure what it's going to be spent on yet. The school and the foundation, there's all these parties together, and everybody has reassured everybody. And I've heard Principal Juli reassure the children the same thing. If it is safe to have an event like a prom, you can be sure they're going to have one, and money isn't going to be the reason why they're not. And I want to make sure any senior parents on here hear that. Between our committee, the student council, the high school itself, we will make sure. I'm not talking about, the fanciest prom in the world, but my point being, the kids were so stressed that they haven't raised enough money, because I don't know if anybody on this call doesn't know, but homecoming is usually their primary source of fundraising, and there's been no homecoming. So I just wanted to put that out there. So what we're doing right now is raising money for things to celebrate the seniors, potentially money to shift towards their prom, and potentially still to throw an after prom. Every month I say in 30 days, maybe we'll know more. Obviously we don't. The world is, we don't know what it's going to look like. I do know, for those of you who weren't on the last couple calls with the principal, he has stated to the parents and the kids, whatever's safely, humanly possible, he wants them to have a prom. The kids are looking at outdoor venues because we're looking at ways to maximize the possibility of having something. And we'll support their efforts however we can. So far, fundraising wise, you've probably seen this stuff out there. We've done a few restaurant fundraisers around the holidays. We did that spirit store, which has been super fun to see all the shaker gear out there. Actually, that was really successful. We just finished a sort of under the radar non-gambling Super Bowl square fundraiser that also went really well. And actually, hopefully you'll all start to see in the next few days, we're starting a 21 for 21 fundraising campaign. Have everybody ask all their friends and families for $21 towards the class of 21. And hopefully that will really get some arms and legs, because hopefully that's not too much to ask of any one family. But we all have friends, families, everyone who want to support our kids. That's also going to be tagged on what we're calling senior celebrations. And hopefully those of you as seniors, that your kids have started to mention this. It's just starting this week. Jen Lehner and Julie Lehman have been awesome, creating, we're doing podcasts and senior spotlights that we're actually going to start this Wednesday rolling out on social media. So if you don't follow Shaker Heights High School on your social media, please make sure you do. Hopefully you do for all the logistical reasons, but that's also going to become where we house all of these spotlights. And gosh, we've gotten the first few in, and these kids have so many great things to say. And this is actually a really cool way to highlight them. And something for those of you with younger kids also, as do I. But, when I was talking to Kristen Miller, who does communications for the district, she was like, wow, I've been wanting to do something like this for seniors, but we've just been so busy. So we're hoping that some of these pandemic driven senior things that we're doing can be things that can have a legacy. Maybe we do senior podcasts and senior spotlights every year. Why only in a pandemic? We're just thinking about it now because we feel so bad for our kids. So mention it to your kids. Tell them to get on and record their podcast and send in their spotlight, because they deserve to be highlighted to the community. So we're excited about that. And then quite honestly, it serves two purposes. Every one of those posts will be tagged with this 21 for 21. And basically saying we're just trying to help the kids close the gap so that they can be celebrated in any way that is humanly possible come May or June. Last thing, I don't want to take up any more time, but the committee is also working in a few little sideways. Like for those of you who saw the black and white photo campaign for seniors last year, that was sort of parent and volunteer driven on the side. We're going to make that an official initiative of this committee. Mitty's on a committee that we're looking at murals that the seniors can do. So we're looking at a few other things. The bottom line is the school is swamped with obviously getting our kids in school safely. So we've also told them this committee is here to support, like they have ideas of how to honor our seniors, like Principal Juli and the administration does. And we're also here to support those. So I'm confident between the school's ideas and ours, And the one last thing is we're trying to do the things that are meaningful to the kids. So, you know, the school is doing yard signs. Yard signs are great. I know we all like them. I'm willing to bet that there's other things that the kids themselves probably really like even more or equal. So we're trying to listen to the kids as much as we can, to make sure that we spend the time and energy on the things that are important to them versus, quite frankly, what's important to us, which does not always match up, as we all probably know as parents of teens. Kate, anything else that I should say or that I've forgotten?
That was beautiful. I just wanted everybody to know that this really is a committee that's bringing together, and the fact that you've mentioned the administration in there, that it's not just after prom, it's that it's, you know, that we're connected through the PTO, that we have got the administration on board. So it was bringing together all of these different people to have a voice together so that the communication was clearer. And if anybody else wants to join, I'm sure you're still happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll put my email in the chat. Oh yeah, Susan.
Yeah,
Susan, that
Susan,
would be
thank you.
great. I'm sorry I skipped that. That was awesome, actually. Susan spearheaded postcards that our kids got in the mail, just saying we're thinking of you. And I think the kids are hoping, and we're hoping, come, you know, April, May, June, there are some more ways to celebrate them. And the other thing I do want to mention, and I'm sorry I was remiss in mentioning this, I don't know whose kids are where on this call. We are being very conscious, as is the administration, of the kids that are at home and the kids that are in school. There are going to be some in-person ways of celebrating, but every conversation we have also says, okay, wait, how can we engage the remote students? We know there are some kids that either chose or have reasons why they could not go back. So do know that there's a sensitivity to that from this committee for sure. And I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier. I didn't mean to focus just on in school, but I'm going to put my email in the chat for those who don't have it. And if you want to join the committee, just shoot me an email, and then you're welcome to receive all of our emails and join how you want. Some people are just on the emails and, you know, sharing information, and some are joining subcommittees. I'd say we're 30 days away from really starting the arm of that committee that is after prom specific, because we're kind of waiting to see where the kids start to net out on their plans. And we're also each month, obviously, waiting to see if gatherings are going to even be realistic. So we're working on the other things right now and just honestly not really addressing the in-person event quite yet. But we can plan an event in a week, so I'm not worried about that.
You can. You have those skills. And we're very grateful. So that's great. And yeah, those postcards were beautiful. The fact that each of them was hand decorated, just each one unique for each student, was beautiful. And thank you to all of the people that were involved with decorating those as well as writing the notes. Thank you. All right. Thanks very much, Meredith. Mitty, would you like to join and sort of share the craziness that is the red and white this year?
Yes. 29 years of the red and white, and I'm co-chairing with Marla Walker, Lauren Martin, and Sarah Bowen, thank God, 2 years in a row, because this year we are reinventing the whole thing. So some things will be familiar. We will have a silent auction. We will have a raffle, which will be announced in the next few days. But it is pretty important to highlight that we have a free level this year. That has never been done before, and we're really excited to really engage more people, have them know what the red and white is all about. It's also very important to let people know that they have to register ahead of time in order to be part of that on March 6th. So all of these Facebook posts, emails, please click on it, buy your tickets. There are higher levels. You'll get all kinds of swag that will be delivered to you depending on the level that you buy. I'm trying to remind everyone who did go to the red and white in the past, you don't have to get a dress, you don't have to do your hair, you don't need shoes, you don't need to go to the Hilton. So it is a reason to buy a higher level ticket if you can. This is all about our kids. And speaking of which, it is to highlight and kick off the Educational Equity Fund, which was a change for this year. In years past, The last few years, it was about the I3 initiative and the innovation fund for opening up more of the career pathways, which I think sometimes gets missed, you know, in the promotion. There's a lot of wording, the red and white. So this year it is about educational equity. Just so you know what's going to happen on March 6th, there's going to be at 7:30 p.m. a student showcase of art, music, and drama. Then 8 o'clock, the fantastic MC Shaker grad from 1985 class, Michael Tate, is going to MC the event from this studio in Cleveland. It's literally looks like CNN. There will be a few students there who will be emceeing with them. I'll share with you guys, one of them happens to be related to me, so that's kind of fun. 9 o'clock, there will be special breakout rooms for alumni, Shaker neighborhoods, and more. So we're excited to try that. Besides the raffle, which I do believe is going to be announced in the next couple of days, it is fantastic. This was Marla Walker's job in all of this, and where do you see it? So that, and then the silent auction will open the week previous to the event. And also, to further support our businesses and especially the restaurants, we're doing what you're seeing a lot of with the kids doing and some of these organizations. We're going to have some restaurant nights. So February 16th will be Dewey's. February 24th will be the Picnic Hill Market. Edwin's is going to partner with us on March 3rd. So if you guys are Edwin's fans, what they've set up for us is we thought that 4 for 40 has always sounded like a major deal from Edwin's. So they're going to do a 4 for 60 night, and transparency will tell us that $20 of every order will go to the Shaker schools. So we're excited to partner with Edwin's. And then the night of Joan Pistoni will be the restaurant for ordering your food the night of. So it's a great lineup. We're really excited. I can't tell you, if anybody saw the graduation last year, we are aiming that high for what we're going to present. So we're excited. Any questions?
I just have to echo Joni's. That is amazing. Wow.
Well, I also need to say that thank God we've got Meredith Camp. I don't know if Meredith is there at the bottom of the screen, because Meredith has been involved with some virtual events already in the community. So she's our sleeper co-chair.
No, not even close.
Thank God.
Not even close.
All right, I'm doing a virtual round of applause for you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be really neat to see how many people can participate this year. We even have some ideas. I'll just say that if you guys know of Shaker alums, for those of you who are Shaker alums, you can encourage from around the world. We hope to have some sort of map that shows how far the attendees go. So we've got some neat things. I mean, really, alumni are engaged. I think there were more than 14,000 invites sent out. So usually we have 600 people in person. We're gonna try and blow this up.
Wow. I just feel as well that, this year where you're saying, that the money is being raised for educational equity, and then the fact that it actually kind of it's quite handy that we're not spending as, it really is open to everybody to come for the first time, because it was a barrier for us several years. I'm just going to say it. It was like, we can't do this. We can support in other ways, but yeah. So I really appreciate everything that I'm hearing there.
Well, good. If you guys can help us out by sharing on social media when you see it. We are not doing that going button thing, just because actually we got some feedback that, only certain people click on that, and then it kind of looks like maybe there's not that much attendance. And also people get confused with the going button that they registered. Mm-hmm. So we got rid of that. So just share away on social media, say you're going in your own post, and let's see where this goes.
Thank you. All right. Just gonna see whether, no, Mr. Rodham's I don't think is there yet. So if anyone sees Mr. Rodham's suddenly pop up and appear, let me know. I am wondering whether if I can share, I hope I can share the minutes of the last PTO meeting. I think I'm going to be able to do that. So I'm just going to, oh, where does it go? Why does it, here it, yeah, it is there. It's exactly where I'm looking. All right. Slightly out of sync, but we have been very slow to get, and that is my fault. You know, we had the meeting back in October and all of a sudden it's February and it's like, oh, we didn't send out and we did not like post these in advance. So my apologies for that. I did actually send them out to the board yesterday. So the executive board did get a chance to see them. And I know that you cannot read this fast, but I wanted you to be able to see that there are real minutes before I ask anybody if they are willing to propose that these are approved. Okay, so I'm just okay. Is anybody happy to propose that we agree the minutes, or is anybody seeing something they would like changed?
I move that we
I-
accept the minutes.
Thanks, Dominique. Dominique Litmarth is proposing they get approved. And somebody to second?
I'll second. It's Meg Fury.
Thank you, Meg Fury, for seconding. And then what we did before, I'm going to stop sharing this so that I can see the other stuff, because then we can do the waving hand reactions emoji or the thumbs up if we agree. So if you look in the reactions and you do a thumbs up, then we will motion to approve the minutes. If anybody doesn't thumbs up, then or put their, I don't mind whether it's a thumbs up or a hand up. I think they both count, don't they? All right, thank you. Anybody saying no? All right, thanks, Meg. Okay. All right, well, I think that we can say that those minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Has Mr. Rodhams been able to get on? Maybe he won't make it. I'm going to leave it a little longer, and hopefully he'll get. Oh, look, it's only 6:55 exactly now, so that's not very surprising. Okay, thank you. What about? Let me see if we could work through any of the committees, any of the VPs who've got their things. Joni, you look super excited to get going there. Go, Joni. Thank you.
Well, I just knew I had something to say, so I thought I'd get it moving for you. There's really, I don't have much. A lot of our areas are really like stay in touch with the teacher, see if they think of anything. We're here to support if they can. Some of it relates to senior project, but one update I wanted to tell you guys, I'm going to open the email, is so Julie Kaufman and Lisa McGuthrie and Chris Wolken were planning some like career awareness activities. So what they're going to do is they're having, I don't know if you say her name, Joanne Smith. She's a post-secondary educational consultant, organization called Getting Our Babies to College 101. And she does a lot of speaking and advising and consulting. And she is going to meet, we're going to do this in Crew, which I love, meet with students. And I especially love it since Crew is now in the middle of the school day instead of after the school hours. A session at the end of February, which will be about career readiness that she calls Passion Equals Career. So talking about academics and for whoever's taking minutes, I can forward this to you in an email.
So that's for Lee Roth.
Yes, so Lee, I will send this to you. So about academics and preparing for different career paths. And then in late March, they're going to do one about social etiquette, life skills, as you think about like networking, branding, interviewing, elevator pitches, and it's related to it's career focused, what you're going to do. It could apply to people who plan to go to community college, plan to go right into the field, people who want to go to college, like whatever it is, it should be able to apply to everybody. So
Awesome.
that is an update.
Thank you. Naomi, I'm just going to check. Is your hand up because you have a question, or is it still agreeing for the minutes?
Sorry, it was still agreeing. I didn't.
No, that's good. I just wanted to check. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll get it off.
Thank you. Oh,
That's pretty much it. Everything else is just kind of status quo with keeping in touch with teachers.
yeah, and hopefully at some point, educational enrichment will suddenly burst into activity again.
Right.
Thanks. Miranda, did you have anything that you wanted to say for communications? Oh, you're still muted.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone, I'm Miranda. Yeah, I mean, it's more of what I said the last time we met. I think the last time we met, I was sort of working on updating the website. I have since done that. So it's a little bit reorganized. It's up to date. It's updated regularly. Kate communicates with me stuff that we want to just make sure that in all formats, on Facebook, on the website. I do an e-blast on Mondays. Sometimes it's Tuesdays, depending on what we're blasting, which sort of echoes and supports what goes out in the newsletter. Anything that we want to just get out there an extra time, something that, whether it's a principal chat or stuff that was going on around MLK Day or fundraisers, or just keeping in mind that everybody's busy and that, we need to hear it a lot of times sometimes. And so I think that's about it. Kate's been very helpful, just letting me, giving me heads up, and I'm kind of on my own schedule at this point, but just helping me when folks come to her and, say, could we go ahead and promote this, or could we go ahead and promote that? I'm on it. So that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you. And yeah, we're going to be sending you another thing from Susan for Heinen's to be blasting out. And that's going to come under, because I was going to ask Deanna to talk next, Deanna and Holly for financial management. So I'm guessing that Deanna was going to say something about Heinen's as well. Thanks, Miranda. Thanks.
Sure.
Perfect. So as Kate was just referring to, Susan was able to reach Heinen's, and sadly, we've only had 40 people sign up this year. And if you guys remember, a lot of the money for the clubs comes from Heinen's, and last year Mitty did a fantastic job, but again, it was a very different year, and it's much harder for Susan to go, hand out things that regularly that there would be at a band or games or any other thing. So please, we need to. Anybody that hasn't signed up, even among our group, just go ahead and do it, and just remind other people to do it. We have to do it every year. And it's retroactive, right, Susan? So it'll go throughout the year too, as well. So that'll be really helpful. So in regards to that, then I also want to point out to Joni, since this is education, the grant money for the teachers, it's still out there. We're going to try, we tried very hard twice last fall to get it out there. We've had some magnificent grants come through, and I think I mentioned to one last time what some of them were. Just reiterate one with the flamenco dancer who's from the Overland area. She's a full ride scholar, so she's going to come to some of the Spanish classes to do that. But we have it there. I'll reach out directly to Mr. Juli as well. But Joni, if maybe there's some way that the communications can get it out to the teachers, there's money there. Maybe now that the kids are going back, they'll think of other things. That's what I was thinking as well. And last, Nancy Kennedy and the group have updated us with the flower sale. The flowers are growing. But more importantly, they anticipate that the order forms will come out sometimes in March. And hopefully it'll be just as successful, or if not any more successful than it was last year.
Deanna, so you said for me, now I have not communicated anything to teachers about grants.
Oh no, we've been doing it already, but I'm thinking maybe if you know, if you're already in communication with them, maybe that's a way of doing it. No, we've gone through the teachers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I was mentioning.
I related to the Heinens thing though, we really have not been putting out a lot of communications. Like in prior years, we're all overwhelmed, but because there really are few events, could we do a targeted high school only? Can you believe, how could it be that only 40? Like, it makes me think that the time I did it, I didn't do it right.
Right.
Because
Me
it can't only be only 39 other people.
So why don't I let Susan talk about what she has in the writing, and Kate, you know, about what they have planned already in terms of writing as well.
I'm happy for Susan to speak her words.
Thanks. We are planning to do an e-blast to families and to point out that we have so few families signed up. I mean, there are hundreds of families, and I know they don't all shop at Heinen's, but even if you only do it once in a while, and you don't have to be a parent, it can be neighbors, it can be aunts, uncles, anybody. You don't have to have a student to sign up for the Teaming Up for Education program. So hopefully we can get some more people. But, you know, as Diana said, we usually handed out reminders at PTO meetings and at band concerts and at art shows and wherever we could, and we can't do that this year.
Even standing outside Heinen's. I mean, Lisa and Lisa went and stood outside Heinen's.
Right.
Have you guys put that out on the community pages too? Because it always surprises the community that this has to be done every year. And it's crazy. People start commenting, oh gosh, I signed up last year. I didn't realize I had to do it again. So just a heads up on that.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did at the beginning of the year.
We did.
Said that please sign up again. But again, I think it's with the pandemic things that people just put things in back, or, you know, they may not be going to finance. So that also.
Oh, yeah. What happens if you're Instacarting instead?
It's still.
Oh, but you sign up online, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
You just have to log in with your Tasteful Rewards or whatever it is. And
it is.
But if we do it by like March or something, we still get all the money back from September.
Right.
And that's impactful in our message, actually.
Yeah, you're right, Joni. And the deadline is March 3rd. So the program ends March 31st, but it is retroactive to everything you have spent since September 1st. So, you know, if you did Thanksgiving shopping or whatever, you know, it's everything.
I think that if we can get something even in the kids' hands that says, I feel like people are so inundated right now with emails and all of this, you know, school communication, that if we can, because Joni, to your point, if we can put a dollar amount, if you've spent, you know, $2,000 in Heinen's since September, that translates to X.
Yeah.
And, you know, be able to tell even the kids to go home and tell your parents. You know, just some of, you know, the things that have probably historically worked that we haven't been able to do, but now for those kids that are in school,
well, Ellen,
layering that on.
That's a good point, but there's the clubs are still not fully going either, and that's also how we would.
So there's great
would communicate that.
There are great comments coming on in the chat as well. So Sarah DeVarkler just pointing out, you know, we could ask Joya Warren to send a message to the kids, and Anastasia just joined online. So yay, thank you for doing that. And yeah, the other people who have signed up recently, thank you very much, everyone. We're going to get that number up, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, Deanna, are we good? All right. So, Dominique, are you or Colette? Is Colette here yet? I thought I saw Colette. Yes.
Go ahead, Colette.
I am, but Dominique, I'm in a car. Is it easy? Could you update? Do you mind?
Absolutely. So,
Thank you.
okay, so we have, we heard several updates, also a few non-updates. And Colette, feel free to kind of jump in because I know you spoke to most of these people. So Marla has done an incredible job planning a whole bunch of spirit days. Do you want me to actually read out her ideas and what's going on, Colette?
Yeah, I think you can, because it's something that's actually happening.
Okay, yay, we're doing something.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. And just so that you know, she has sort of approved or confirmed these with the high school, with the administration.
All right, so for Valentine's Day, there are going to be M&M packets distributed to everyone. 550 are being ordered. On St. Patrick's Day on March 16th, there's going to be green shamrock glasses. So there's going to be 576 that have been ordered. On Friday, April 9th, there's going to be a National Name Yourself Day. And so there's going to be name tags and would you keep the name you have or would you change your name? So kind of a fun activity there. And then in May, it's the Farewell Senior Day. So seniors are going to be invited to wear post-high school gear and donuts are going to be delivered, wrapped, individually wrapped. And then for the virtual, there's also virtual activities. So those are all actual activities that she's planning for the kids that are at school. And then on April 9th, there's also going to be a virtual activity with Mitchell's free cone cards going to everyone. So there'll be a school mailing and then these Mitchell free cones. There's, so that's all the activities that have been updated for Spirit Day. And then in terms of senior clap out, Jen Salmon has already scheduled the first meeting.
I'm just going to interrupt you there because she scheduled it for this evening. And then when she realized it was clashing, she's moved it to Wednesday, the 8th. So I'm just.
Yeah, I was going to say Monday, the 8th. I'm like, I think that's today. And she has secured volunteers from every elementary school building. So that's already been done and has great ideas for an amazing senior clap out. So more details to come on that. So those are we have also some other committees, but it's hard to do certain things with this whole virtual situation. So kudos to Jen and Marla for getting on top of all of this. Any questions?
Awesome, thank you.
And you can see I have my bed right behind me. So if anyone gets really boring, I'm just gonna hop in.
Hey, I have a quick question. This is Cherie Thornton. Can I get an invite to the senior clap out meeting? Who do I email for that? I didn't catch the name.
You can email. Hi, this is Meredith Camp. I put my email in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
If you want to email me, I can put you into that subcommittee of the senior committee.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And do me a favor, if there's a particular elementary that your child went to be on that subcommittee, just shoot that in the email as well.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Cherie. So Cherie reached out to me a couple of days ago saying, I want to be involved in stuff again. And she's been on council this year. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's partly why I want to attend for council because I'm probably going to be planning it next year. So I want to learn what you guys are doing this year. So, but I'll reach out to you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so I have not asked Andrea and Karina to give us a report.
Andrea, you want to talk? Yes, I can speak. Hi, everyone. Basically, what me and Karina just have is what Rachel set up for a speaker series next month, March 22nd. And the topic is growth through loss, parenting through the pandemic. And she has Jessica Emick, PhD, a licensed psychologist, pediatric psychologist, speaking that day.
Thank you. Yeah, because
You're welcome.
we felt like this sort of sense of loss that we're all suffering from.
Yes.
The things that our children and we are suffering from just needs to be addressed. That was. I've muted myself. Sorry. Well done. So yeah, just the sense of loss needs to be addressed, and finding someone who could talk to us for us as parents, as well as for how we're helping our students, how our children are coping.
Okay.
Thank you.
Karina, did you want to add anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. We didn't get any other report. I think, Kate, you got the reports from Lisa, Alyssa, and Sarah, right?
Yes. And do you know, I knew that I wouldn't have printed everything out. But Sarah, Ezzy Haynes and Alyssa, they have sort of plans that, fingers crossed, if we are able to do stuff, that they will do like outdoor yoga and a hike and things like that in the spring, to just almost feeling like, you know, community builders things as well as health and wellness. And I thought that sounded really great. The district is taking on some more jobs this coming year, things that PTO has done in the past. And one of those actually is health and wellness. I'm right, aren't I, Sarah Devakala? I'm right to say that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, I'm sorry. The health and wellness is kind of being taken over on by the district.
So Elizabeth Kimmel has started a group, and she is going to have representatives at each building. And so we're in the process of talking with her to see where PTO's role is in that.
Thank you.
There's some special ed parents who have been helping with special ed who are advocating to have still some PTO roles. So we're still trying to figure that out. So anyone that has input, there is recruitment going on right now at all the buildings. So if you see those emails and it's something that you want to work on, you know, we're always looking for volunteers.
Thank you. I'm just going to check in case one of the numbers I don't recognize is Mr. Rodham's. If he's here. All right. It doesn't sound like he's gonna make it. I feel like I missed out one of my team, our team. Ramona's here as well, and I don't mean to say mine. So I wanted to double check. So I know I have a treasury. We're not doing a treasury report, but I do have the budget information just to share. So I'm going to do that. I'm getting quite amazingly good at this. Look at that. First time. Woo! So this was so that people could take a look. I'm going to minimize that for a moment. We do have a lot of money that we'll be able to be spending. So I want people to just know that this is going to be there. We will be posting that on the website as well, so that it's very clear what there is money for, what there isn't, what hasn't been spent. You know, an awful lot of money has not been spent. So if there are things that people are suddenly going, wow, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? You know, we have another meeting end of March, only, you know, about 7 weeks away. If you suddenly go, this would be a really fundamentally fantastic thing for the high school to be spending some of that money on that we've not been able to spend on other things, tell us, you know, I'm sure that then even though it's maybe not on a line item, we know that we can actually like do a special request and vote on spending money on other things. So I wanted to put that out there. Please forgive me if I forgot you. But otherwise, I think we are at Kim Harris to talk on nominating. And she sent me a message earlier. So I am going to open that up because I'm just scrolling through the people and she's not there. So I'm just going to find my message from, sorry, I got so many messages today, which is always the way just before the meetings.
Do you want me, while you're looking for that, like, did you want somebody to update people about the yearbook thing? Is that, I'm assuming he was going to share what they're doing?
Yes, and I do want to do, so would you do that? That would
happen to have the email open. I'm not more in the know. If someone's more in the know than me,
you are so organized. Thank you.
Mr. Juli is, but I will give him a second because he doesn't have to be the expert on everything, but correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, since there weren't yearbook pictures this year, so something went out to all the students and it looked like it hit our mailboxes this evening, 45 minutes ago, about how to upload your own portrait photo for this year's yearbook. And it gives instructions of how each student should go in, how they enter their photo, and the yearbook staff, of course, reserves the right to reject any photo for a variety of reasons, meaning that it's not the student in the picture or does not follow certain dress code or guidelines or publication standards. So I'm sure that this is the kind of thing that a lot of people are going to miss. I was thinking, this is actually for Mr. Juli, but like, why not in crew time, just say, all right, everybody, 5 minutes. This is for inclusion. We all want to be involved. So everybody go to this page, log in, take a selfie. They're really good at taking good selfies on the spot and have them submit it there, because I think that we're going to get such a small percentage of students doing it. Mm-hmm. So that has nothing to do with email. That's just my commentary. The email was the rest of the stuff, and that's their plan, that they're having kids self-submit photos.
Yeah. Thank you. And everybody got emails recently. So that, that information is out there. I just thought it would have been, the hope was that maybe Mr. Rodens could make it. And I'm sure he would have done. I mean, he said he was going to try. But the idea is that it's very different from previous years, isn't it, Susan? And Susan's been telling me this is such a huge job to get the photos and you need to get it done early. So really encourage your children to get their pictures up and loaded, because it's going to be a weird yearbook in so many ways. But really, if it hasn't even got pictures in it, then that's going to be just awful.
Can I just add one piece to the yearbook part?
Yeah, please do.
So in addition to the selfies, and I like that crew idea, although lots of students are purposefully not uploading it because they don't want a picture of themselves. But I do really like that idea. In addition to that, we're also doing, we still have a contract with a company, and we'll be setting up more formal photos that families can purchase packages for, the wallet sizes, the big ones, the poster size if you want it, and that will be happening in addition to. But we're up against a deadline on yearbook publication, and it's incredibly important that we get the yearbook out to seniors before they graduate from college. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're having this opportunity to upload, selfies so that everybody's represented, but there will still be this package that people can purchase for a more formal sit-down photo with a professional company.
Thank you. Thanks. I just wanted to finish up just before we move over to Mr. Juli, and thank you very much for giving your time again this evening. But the last thing was to be talking about nominating for Kim Harris is our volunteer recruitment chair, and she sent me a message in case she wasn't able to get onto the call. And she is going to have the first meeting of the volunteer recruitment committee this February 17th at 7 p.m. So that's next week, isn't it? It's February 17th at 7 p.m. That will be advertised in the newsletter this week, and we'll get it up on the website as well, so that everybody knows about it. We do have spaces. We would love to have people's help with nominating. You know, the more people, I mean, not so that it's huge, but truly last year, I think we had 12 people on it, and we filled the roster, and those many people with all their networks, it really helps. So if you're interested in helping out with a volunteer recruitment for next year, please let me know, or Ramona or Meg or Ellen. All of our information is out there on the newsletters. And on top of that, sorry, there's quite a lot of information on there. It was really felt that this year, because so many people had not really got to do the job that they anticipated doing, that we would be asking anybody who wanted to repeat their job to do that. So let us know if you want to continue in your job. Let us know if you want to double up with somebody. It's so great when you have a co, and you know, it really, really helps when you can bounce things off each other. And so that's my final thing is, Ramona, if there's anything you wanted to add, anything that we've missed out, let me know. Okay. Well, in that case, I think we need to move to Mr. Juli and start the principal's chat part of the meeting. So we should say thank you for the business part. And we have plenty of people watching, and I hope that they've got questions ready to ask. And I have some from people. I've gotten myself in a slight tangle. Here we go. All right, so Eric, I don't know if you would just like to start off just by letting us know something about the latest changes to what's been going on at the high school.
Sure. I don't really know that there's anything to talk about. Happy to share. So we had both Group A and B come back today. And from my perspective, I think that your perspective in terms of what your kids told you is more important than my perspective. But from my perspective, it went incredibly smoothly. As I've said in writing and out loud, you know, publicly all over the place, we didn't have to change a single thing to make this happen. We made a plan when we chose the schedule that we've been on. We planned for this day, obviously not knowing when it would come, but we planned in July and August for you know, a second larger group of kids coming back, and that ended up being today. And so we were able to have students in school and have it feel as close to a regular day as it could, right? Obviously, we're missing all of the kids who are fully remote, and that certainly matters. But there were there wasn't any confusion, there wasn't any miscommunication, there weren't any problems. The day ran incredibly smoothly. The average class size, even after the merge for Shaker Heights High School, is 7 students in a class. That's after the merge. There are classes that are bigger. We have a class first period tomorrow morning that has 21 students. That's the biggest in the school. It's being held in the small auditorium, which seats 56, I think, 6 feet apart. And then we have another class of 17. But I would say, I saw some 8s and 9s today, 5s and 6, but the average across the building is 7, and I'm incredibly comfortable with that. We've based all of our planning on the cafeteria, right? Because even though there's all kinds of back and forth in our community about how many feet is the right number of feet, if you notice, I've stopped talking about feet. I said 6 feet a few minutes ago, but I've stopped talking about feet in all of my public communications. No one thinks that you can sit close together in the cafeteria without a mask on and have lunch. And so we've based our numbers off of the cafeteria. And so the cafeteria is driving the equation at the high school. And so we know exactly how many seats there are in the cafeteria, how many lunch periods there are, and it becomes a simple math problem. And so we didn't add a single chair, a single desk, a single anything to any space when we needed to. We moved classrooms. So I'm making up this example. If a third period class in a room was going to have 8 people and there were only 7 desks in there, socially distant, we didn't add another desk. Instead, we moved the room to a different classroom and where the appropriate number of desks were. So we moved about 50 classrooms, which sounds like a lot, but also there are 90 classes per period with 8 periods. So we moved 50 of about 720 classes, which isn't that many. And so I feel really great about how today went. Our biggest challenge, I think, right now is we have students who are listed as returning, right, as being in person, who are not back. And so I have families that are asking for the option to return now. And so we're saying the same thing to every family, which is if we can do it, we'll do it, right? And we're counting seats in every classroom to make sure that it works. And so it would be significantly easier if the families who have decided not to come back would tell us that they're not coming back, because that would open up more spots for the families that really do want to come back. But so far, we're not saying yes to anybody today, tomorrow, or a Wednesday, because we really need to get a feel for all of the spaces this week. But coming in all through up through Friday, just about every family that asked to come back today, we were able to say yes to and accommodate them. And we're just having a hold at the moment to make sure that all the spaces work in the way that we want. But I anticipate that we'll be able to say yes to other people. But it would be easier if families who are not coming back would tell us that they're not coming back. And then if they change their mind, there's probably room for them to come back later, right? But it would just be nice if we could, if there's a family that really wants to come back now, it would just make it easier if we knew. So that's my take on the day. Very positive. Kids seemed happy. It felt really good from my perspective.
Thank you. So we did receive a few questions in advance. Some people have been emailing me, and I had put out a Google form, which I realized that I did not check after school today. So if I've missed anything, if anybody is here on the meeting and we don't get through questions that you actually sent me or comments, then I'm hugely apologetic, but I will pass them on to Mr. Juli, and he'll do stuff after that. He will follow up. I know he will, because he has done all the way through with those. So I have a question which says, for those students who selected marching band this year and would have gotten PE credit for it, how is that being handled since there was no marching band?
We're still giving the PE credit for it. Okay. It's not their fault that we didn't have marching band in the way that it was. So call it a pandemic win for those students.
Thank you. Since students and families will have the option of choosing to return to school in person in March, how will that be handled in terms of social distancing if those numbers increase significantly? I feel like you kind of probably just pretty much answered that.
Yeah, but let me speak to a little bit more than that. I'm not, one of the reasons why we're saying yes to people now is so that there isn't an influx of 100 families that say they want to come back in March, because we're not going to be able to handle that. Not everybody's going to be able to come back if that happens. So let me give you without all of the extraneous stuff, let me tell you the key information that families need to know. It isn't about the classroom sizes or the fact that our average our average room size is now 7 kids. That would imply that we could have many, many more kids come back. We're not going to move tables closer together in the cafeteria because kids aren't wearing masks in the cafeteria. So once we run out of space in the cafeteria, it doesn't matter how many desks there are in the classrooms. And because we cannot change the schedule in March to have more lunches, different lunches. You can't change a high school schedule of a school our size in March. It's just not possible. So the cafeteria is driving this. And there are not a lot of seats left. So we are, as of what we are today, this is why I'm emphasizing for people who are not coming back, telling us would be incredibly helpful, because if everyone who is listed as coming back and had shown up today is actually coming back, we're close to capacity now. Because there's no compromising in the cafeteria for safety. So plenty of room in classrooms does not mean that there's plenty of room. We will continue as requests come in today, tomorrow, and the next day, and in March, to say if we can do it, we will, and we will. And there may come a point where I will say to the community, the inn is full, and we can't take any more.
Thank you. Susan's just asked, is there still going to be a decision point at the end of the 3rd quarter to return to in-person school? And that pretty much, that's the same question I have here from someone else. Will there still be an opportunity? And I feel like you're saying yes, unless we're at capacity.
Yeah, and so the district is going, I'm quite confident that the district will send out an email saying, 4th quarter, make a decision if you want to. I'm just saying that they're not crunching the numbers like I am. And so that's also why the district also said we're going to prioritize the kids who are already back in preparation for today. And we have said yes to everyone we possibly can, because I'm looking to avoid a mass influx in March. And so we'll take as many as we can, whether it's, now or then, but there will be a day at the pace that we're going where we'll be full, and it's the cafeteria that's driving that. It's safety, because that's the only place where kids don't have masks on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Nicole, I'll get to you in a moment. Is the other question that is related to that is that there are people who, I know when they signed up to say they wanted their child coming back, they were thinking of it in terms of like the risk being a 2-day-a-week risk, and now it's a 4-day. And people have been asking, is it possible to go in person for 2 of the 4 days rather than,
Yeah, this is one of those answers I'm going to dance around a little bit, right? It's not really what I want, because it complicates things on my end, and I don't really have a way to enforce it, right? I'm not coming after you if you. I mean, we have an option in the system where students are listed as not absent, right? If they're an in-person student and they show up to class remotely, they are marked as present, but we're listing it slightly differently so that we know that they were remote and not in person. So as long as the kid is coming to class remotely, I guess that's okay. It's not what I want, right? It definitely complicates things for me. It complicates things for the teachers who are planning for in-person students. I want to, I wrote about this last night in the Sunday night newsletter, right? The idea that the lesson plan that the teacher is creating is the same regardless of the format is not accurate, right? And so I am asking teachers to plan differently as numbers increase in person. And when students are remote, it messes up those plans, right? And so, you know, we want the best possible instruction and the best opportunities for learning. And so that plan, while I have no way to, you know, regulate that, it makes it more complicated for the teachers for sure. But I can't stop you from doing it. So that becomes a personal, you know, personal choice. Kate, let me hit a couple of these questions that are related to lunch in the chat, because I think it's relevant.
Right.
We have looked at having kids eat in classrooms. We can't do it at the high school because of the contractual time that teachers are given. I'm violating the contract if I do that. And I'm not willing or able to do that. So it's a good idea, and one that we looked at, and we can't make it work. It's a violation of the contract at the high school specifically, just because of the way that our schedule works. Students cannot leave for lunch and come back. I've closed the campus for everyone's safety. So leaving for lunch is not an option unless you're not coming back for afternoon classes. And we don't want that either, because that again speaks to, we don't have an option where you're in the day for half the day. So if you're in school, you need to be eating lunch in the cafeteria. And if you are remote, you don't have to eat lunch in the cafeteria, but there's no in between. I'm not at the point yet of talking about space outside, but I will, you know, for lunch, but I will say that gets into, if I have space outside, I need people to cover the space outside, and we can't get subs in the way that we need to. So finding people to staff, although I guess it'll be different by the time it gets warmer, because we'll have had the vaccination. So potentially that is an option post-vaccination. It's not an option pre-vaccination. And let's come back to the one about the transportation and the open periods. I'm just looking at lunch. Okay. Nobody has a free period in our schedule currently. They have an assigned classroom. There are no free periods in our day. They are assigned to a classroom for study hall. And just as a reminder, this is important. The reason we have the open periods, which became study halls, right, is why the schedule is working right now, right? Because we added in the summer an extra period to our day, right? It used to be that students took 7 classes per day, and now they're taking 8 classes per day. But we didn't have the kids sign up for an 8th class because the pandemic happened after course selection happened. That is a huge pain in terms of these study halls. And I know people don't love the study halls, but it's what's allowing your kids to come back to school, because having smaller class sizes, which is what the 8th period gave us, is what allowed us, my team, to move 50 classrooms to make today possible, right? So what's an annoyance and a frustration on the one hand is what's allowing us to have all the kids come back in this model, in this hand, you know, in reality. And so it's a positive, even though it doesn't always feel like it doesn't always feel like that, you know, in the moment. All right, let's go back to your question. Sorry.
Mine. Sorry, I've got like, I'm reading so many things now as well. I apologize. There were a couple of questions, but several. But how many kids are in the largest study hall? There are a couple of questions around this whole study hall thing. And are there limits to the number of students in? Well, I think the limit to the number of students per room you've covered.
So there are limits to the study halls.
How many in the study halls?
Yeah, there are limits to the study halls. I don't have the number in front of me, but off the top of my head, I think that, and I'll use the seat thing again because that's really big for that, but in the large auditorium, which is the largest study hall, I think that it seats 87 or 89 in the lower area, 6 feet apart. With everyone 6 feet apart, and I don't have the number off the top of my head in the balcony, but we opened that up today for the merge for the first time. We hadn't been using that, and we have another adult upstairs as if it's a second classroom. Now, I don't know what that number is. I feel like it might be high 40s, low 50s up there. And then 216 is the other place where study halls are happening. I think that 34 fit in there, but it's not that high. And then the upper cafeteria is the other area where there's study halls, and we're not using the senior lounge for that. And I have the total number of seats in my head for the cafeteria, but not just the upper caf, but there's plenty of space in there as well.
Okay, thank you. There has been sort of some frustration at trying to sit in those auditorium spaces and trying to work in them, that there are many people who are struggling to actually get stuff done.
Yeah, I guess I would say to that two things. One, if that's the worst problem that we're having in a return in a pandemic, I'm comfortable with that, and I don't mean that flippantly. There are, 10,000 things that could go wrong, and seats that are not conducive to desk space is a great one to have a problem with. Second, most of the teachers have gone paperless for obvious reasons, and so kids can sit with a Chromebook on their lap and get work done in that class. I've sat in those auditorium seats with my laptop on my lap and gotten plenty of work done. And then thirdly, if all else fails, bring a novel, and can't go wrong with reading. We're going to be passing out an all-school novel that I've purchased. They're being delivered tomorrow, that I'm incredibly excited about, and people will have a book to read.
Wonderful. That sounds exciting. You're not going to tell us what it is, are you?
I can. We can come back to it though. Give me
okay.
Let's keep going with the questions.
All right.
Leave them wanting more.
Does that large auditorium, does it get cleaned after each study hall?
Every space in every space in the building is cleaned every day. And we do have people going in after the study halls and wiping down the seating. All students are supposed to be wiping down their own seating upon arrival and leaving every class of every building, of every room, every period.
Okay, thank you. There was another question about reconsidering the leaving at lunchtimes, but you've covered that. So
yeah, I mean, that's a safety issue. I'm not going to reconsider that at this point. Yeah. It's not a non-starter at this point.
I'm just making sure that the people who've asked the questions know that like, I haven't forgotten or and then there are questions here about conferences. Will you be adjusting conference times so in-person students can meet with their teachers when necessary? So I realize this is not the parent-teacher conferences. This is the after-school conferences.
We are adjusting it. I'm working with a group of teachers, and we're trying to figure it out. To be honest with you, it's a lot more complicated than you would think because a teacher has 6 classes that they're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And if even 3 kids from each class want to come to conferences, now we're at 18 kids, and I just told you that our average size is 7, and we don't have very many rooms that seat 18 comfortably. So we're looking at different options. One of them involves giving out tickets, which will get people into the building. I don't have an answer yet, and people are going to have to be patient. We needed to make sure that the day worked, and we're also concurrently working on the conferences. Something will be coming, but not yet.
Okay, thank you. So there was a question that came up about if students are seeing that masks are not being effectively worn, is there a procedure, can you share a good way of expressing to either teachers or other students, what's the way that they can be called in?
Step one would be to say to the person that isn't wearing the mask correctly, in a nice way, hey, we all want to come to school. That needs to be over your nose, or it needs to be over your face correctly. There's safety in numbers, but we all need to be speaking in one voice. It really defeats the purpose if the person, student or adult, walks by 74 people, you know, and nobody says anything, and all 74 people call me or one of my assistant principals, it's as if we don't care, right? If we care, we say something about it. So the first thing is to say something about it. It doesn't have to be in a rude way, right? Hey, we all want to come to school, and wearing masks safely is the only way that we're going to be able to be here. If that's not possible, or if that doesn't work, saying something to any adult. There's a security monitor stationed on every floor now. That hasn't always been the case, but they're on every floor, in eye shot of every hallway. There's not an uncovered spot in the building. So talking to a security monitor, saying something to any adult, we've put in very, very clear protocols with the adults of what is expected to happen. I have a team that then mobilizes and heads to the classroom to have a conversation with the child in that moment. And the only flaw in the protocol is somebody has to initiate it. Say something to an adult, and then we spring into action.
Thank you. And Joni's just put in the chat as well that like what her daughter's seeing is that it's being addressed. So
yeah, I mean, the reality is, you know, I've had this, and I'm sure you have too. Sometimes not every mask fits the same way.
Right.
And the one that I was wearing today, I wore as a double mask because it doesn't stay on as well when I'm talking. It's fine if I'm not talking, but it doesn't stay on as well when I'm talking. And so we have issues with some kids who, when they're talking, the mask slips down, or it's a little bit too big, or whatever. That's 99% of what we're dealing with here. And it just is a quick reminder solves it. We do not have kids refusing to wear masks, you know, forgetting to wear masks. It's just not happening. We have kids who they slip down. We have adults that happens to as well. I ran out of my office yesterday and got to the threshold of my office and realized, because I was going to play music, and realized I'd forgotten my mask. I turned around, I grabbed it, I put it on, I went and played a song.
Okay, thank you. A leap away, and this is a question about, yay, the teachers getting their vaccinations. Will school be cancelled on the day the teachers get their second vaccine? Not sure what the time slots are and whether it'll be affecting school, but are you in administration like prepared for teachers maybe not feeling well after the second immunization shot?
Yeah, so that's not a decision that I make on my own. That's a decision for the superintendent. So that one really belongs in the superintendent's chat. But I can say that that everybody is that there's already discussions about that, and I think that we'll have a plan that works for everybody.
And Megan's just put in about the special masks for bands.
Yeah, we got that as a recommendation from, there was a report in the summer with do's and don'ts for band and orchestra, and we followed those guidelines. They asked us to get a specific type of mask. I don't remember what it's called, but it's great for playing a trumpet while still being masked, and by all accounts, it's really working out great.
I think some students have been finding difficulties with the plastic of the plexiglass plastic pieces, finding it hard to see the screen from further back in the room, you know, seeing through to the main screen and stuff. There just seem to be some logistical issues with those. Can you speak to?
Yeah, I mean, these are items that the community asked for. These are items that parents asked for, that teachers asked for, that we provided. It's not something that we're going to use long term. It's part of pandemic learning. Most teachers at the high school are displaying what they are posting on the screen also in their Google Classroom on the screen. And so most of the time the student can see what's happening on the board on their on their Chromebook. And if they can't, my solution to that is let's all get vaccinated. Let's move forward and get rid of the the trifold barriers completely. They are a part of what pandemic learning is, and there isn't a way to change that.
Yeah, thank you. So Deanna's question just came up. Would home kids be allowed to go in to meet teachers for conferences at school once in a while?
I don't know the answer. The issue is, I would like to be able to do that. There's nothing, the thing that's holding us back from that is the same thing that's holding us back on conferences right now, is managing the numbers of kids in a classroom in a reasonable way during conferences. So once step one is to figure out how we're doing that. That's why we were having conferences remotely, for the kids who were not in the building. It was the safest way to do it. So once we figure out the model for conferences, we can potentially revisit that and, take a day for kids who are home, or I don't know. I'm open to ideas there. We just have to figure out the logistics of the conferences.
Sure, thank you. And then I think just like the multiple changes, or like the quick changes around between 2 days in, now 4 days in, President's Day, Conference Day, all of these things which are making alterations to the schedule. That's a big challenge logistically for families who are trying to get their kids in and out of school. And I imagine with the cold weather, more people are wanting to drive their kids and not have them stomping through, if that's an option for a family. So just a request for more notice.
Yeah, I have that same request from the teachers. It's incredibly frustrating. I'm aware of it. I apologize for it. And I'll say, I've used this line before, it remains my first pandemic. We are, every shift we make has reasons, and things are changing all around us. And so I'm doing my best to get ahead. I joked on previous chats that I couldn't even look past the day to tomorrow, right? And there are some days where I'm still like that, where I'm focusing, 5 minutes ahead. I will say that my team has drafted, we have a calendar that we're a couple of days from putting out that has everything that we are aware of for the rest of the year. Any days that the Monday schedule has changed, all the odd and even days and what they are, all of the testing for the rest of the year. I announced today to senior families about graduation and senior project, and those dates are on the calendar. So we are hopefully days away from putting out a calendar that has everything that you could possibly want on it. And I'll say that if circumstances change, it's going to shift again, right? And I am aware that it's a hassle for families. I am a parent at the school and a parent of 2 kids in the district. It's absolutely a hassle as a parent. It's a hassle for the teachers. It's a hassle for the principal, and it's circumstantial. It's not the way that we want to do it, and we'll get as far ahead as we can. And the reality is, it's likely to change again because of the circumstances of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. Just like we have to take each.
I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for that.
No, I do see names of people who had sent me questions, and I hope that you feel like they've been answered, or that I've asked them like clearly enough. If anybody, like I feel this is okay, isn't it, Eric? That like if anybody now at this point just would like to ask any questions, I'm thinking if you put your hand up so that we don't just get everybody like leaping out at once. If I see a little hands up emoji pop up, I'm hoping that I can actually see all those. If I have the participants all listed, is that where the hands go? Joni, you're doing an applause.
Well, I know I was the fastest hand I could see. I really don't have a question, but I know I have to go to another call. And I just need to just publicly say to Eric, Juli, like, I just want to give great honor to all that your teachers are doing. I mean, our family's been pretty conservative, and we have some health risks at home. And so we talk about how to spend our risk. And we decided to spend our risk on our daughter being able to see other humans that she's not related to, and be indoors with people. And so far, we're really pleased with the choice. So I just have to I know there's a lot of complexity, and I don't want to say if other people have other questions, but before I got off, I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, the teachers are doing an amazing job, and a couple teachers like above and beyond in how they're like emotionally supporting the kids with all of this. Really impressed.
Thanks very much. My whole team is working incredibly hard, and this is the complexity of this has not diminished in any way, shape, or form. It's only increased. I'm just really proud of all the people that are working at our school, and the ones that you see on a daily basis and the ones you don't, because it's really been an incredible team effort, and just very proud of the work that we're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure you can see in the chat more agreement for that. So yay, because I'm sure that you get plenty of other stuff coming your way as well. Heather, I'm just seeing, oh, I need to open the chat again. Sorry. What's Heather? Thank you. Thanks, Heather, for letting. So Heather Weingart's just saying, in case everybody's not seeing it, that the district is evaluating the 9th and 10th options for vaccine day and day after. So yeah, the Board of Education is on it as well. So thank you. Is there anybody else who has something they'd like to ask Mr. Juli?
My senior was in the room for some of, that's why I kept turning cameras off, a lot going on here. But the question was, is the selfie, is that the only option for the senior pictures? That's of course a concern for her.
So yes and no, right? So in order to have her picture in the yearbook, yes, that's the option. There can be a sit-down formal senior picture that we will take with a professional company, and then you can decide what package you want to buy, or if you want to buy it at all. That we do sometime coming up. But in order to meet the deadline to make sure that the seniors get their yearbook, this is the only way to do it. So it's sort of a both and.
Can I just, but like, I could take a picture of my daughter. It doesn't literally actually have to be a selfie. I mean.
Yeah, right. It doesn't have to be a selfie at all, right? I would take a nice picture of my son, who has no interest in me taking a nice picture of him, but I intend to take a nice picture of my son and submit that for the yearbook.
Well, my son will not pose. I mean, if I get a picture, he'll be pulling some excruciating face. So
mine might be my son sleeping. Yeah. That might be the best way to do it. But, yeah, there can still be senior photos in the traditional way, and a package of your choice around that.
That's wonderful. Thank you. All right. That is just wonderful. Look at this. It's 8 o'clock and everyone's gone quiet. So I'm going to sort of do like the gavel thing, it's like.
Oh yeah, the novel. So we're going to read.
And we've got a question. We do have a hand up. Tell us about the novel, and then Eliana can.
Sure. So if you've heard me talk even one time about anything other than the pandemic, you know that I think it's incredibly important to be reading relevant young adult literature. And it's on top of that, it's even more important for our students to be able to find themselves in the books that we're reading. And so as a white male, I can pretty much find myself in anything. And that isn't the case if you're a Black student at our school. That isn't the case if you're Hispanic. That isn't the case if you're gay or transgender. We have diverse novels that we read in our English classes, but, and the English teachers who hear me say this would emphasize that, but I still would argue, and I say this to them all the time, I don't think it's enough. And so we also have this thing where the books that we read are just an English class, right? And I don't believe in that either. So this is a book that I have purchased for every single person in the school, every staff member, everybody. We're having 75 cases delivered tomorrow of a book called Dear Martin by the author Nick Stone. And the short version of the book is the main character is an African-American junior or senior. I think he's a senior in high school at a high achieving, mostly white high school. And an incident happens early in the book where he's interacting with the police, and the incident makes him, coming out of the incident, he decides to keep a journal for his senior year in which he's writing to Martin Luther King about whether or not it's possible to practice Martin Luther King's teachings in 2020 or 2019 when the book was written in an American high school, right? And in the country that we live in. And so it's this back and forth dialogue with his journal and his experiences in high school. It's real, it's relevant, it's a fantastic book, one of the best young adult novels that's been written in the past 5 years or so. There will be no quizzes, there will be no tests, there will be no essays associated with it. We will read it, no grade associated with it. We will read it as a school because it's a good book for the sake of reading it. Will everybody read it? No, not everybody will read it. And there won't be any consequences except that they're missing out on a fantastic book. So I'm super excited to pass a lot of these books out myself. I take great pleasure in handing kids books, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you. That I'm really excited about that. That sounds wonderful. There are two hands up. So Eliana had her hand up and Naomi's put her hand up. So I realize I probably, do I have to unmute? No, Eliana.
I think I'm unmuted. Thank you. So I'll just say thank you. I know that this has been Herculean effort on lots of people's parts. So thank you for making it happen. I had a question about the cafeteria. I understand that the kids are sitting at the ends of the tables, and the report I had from my kids is that because it's at the ends of the tables, the table legs are in the way, that they can't actually pull their chairs in, and that makes those plastic carrels ineffective, that their heads are actually back a few feet from the table. So I wondered if it's possible that those can be shifted so the legs aren't in the way.
Yeah, so I would argue that they're not making them ineffective, and I would argue that based not on my own opinion, but based on the fact that we had doctors from University Hospital come through and approve the setup in the cafeteria before we embarked on this plan. The way that we have it set it up gives us the maximum number of students that we can get into the building with and have it still be safe. It is annoying that the legs are there, but it means getting more families who really need to be in school or want to be in school into school, and we would have to drop our remember I said earlier, if you were on, that our entire model is based on the cafeteria, and so dropping the total number of students by 30, 40, or 50, I don't know what it would be, but it's in that ballpark. That's not at every table though. There are plenty of round tables, and so in both in all of the areas in which kids can sit. And so I would suggest to anybody who's uncomfortable with that, there are no assigned seats in the cafeteria. There are just a limited number of seats with one of the trifold barriers in front of it. And so I think that's less of an issue at the round tables than it is at the table. You're only sitting at the end on the rectangular tables, and that's not a requirement at all.
Thank you. Naomi.
Hi. Thank you. We just wanted to say thank you for all of your effort, and it must be amazingly difficult to constantly be jumping through hoops that keep changing. I do have one quick question. If you are fully remote right now, you said there might be a small window of asking to go in person. What is that process?
Yeah, the process is to just email the assistant principal for the appropriate grade level. Say that you're interested in returning. The email that you should get back is to say, Thanks for your email, and we will count the seats in all the rooms, and if it's possible, we'll let you know. And we've been trying to let people know within 24 hours, and we will not let you know within 24 hours this week because we need to get through a couple of days here to make sure that it's going in the way that we intended. But then we'll just let you know after.
Sorry, man. Okay. Thank you. Thanks again.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any more? Is there anyone else with something they'd like to ask or say?
There's a question in the chat that I'll answer from Becky Weintraub. That's not something that is in my domain for decision making, right? The question is about 3-ply masks. I'm running the show on all things day to day at the high school, and that kind of decision comes from the superintendent and the operations office, and not my domain. So I couldn't speak to that at this time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the whole mask debate. It's huge, but I appreciate all the efforts you're going through all the time to find spaces. Someone just opened the door into the rooms to let the cat in because he has not yet missed a principal's chat. So like, why would this week be different? Thank you, Kat. But thank you so much, like, for just like trying to accommodate everybody. Like literally, that's what we've seen the whole way through. I think from all of your team is just trying to find a way to fit everybody, and it's huge.
Yeah, I would just say, my team is just unbelievable, and they've really been working so hard. I appreciate all the thank yous, and for everybody who thanked me tonight, I appreciate it. And take 30 seconds and send an email to somebody on my team to thank them. I'm the one who's out in front most of the time, but I'm not doing this alone, and I'm not sleeping very much, but I'm certainly not doing this alone. And so taking the 30 seconds to a minute to thank anybody on my team I would certainly appreciate that. And then I guess I would say that, just in closing, our plan is working, right? It's going to continue to work, and we're going to accept as many kids as we can, more, to allow everyone who wants to be back in school to be in school. It would be incredibly helpful to me if you pass the word on students who don't intend to be in school to say so. It would just take the email, and nothing would change for them because they're at home anyway. And we're going to continue to find spots to open up, but it would just be easier to open up these spots faster, to let people in. It's our intention to have everybody who wants to come back to school, but the cafeteria is the driver, right? I've said all along that I'm being uncompromising about that, and I feel very comfortable saying that I'm being uncompromising about that. But in the meantime, I feel like in the best way possible, I mean this as a good thing, we are at the point now where I'm getting questions that are specific to individual families. And that's a really good place to be, because it means that what we've set up as a school is working. And so I'm happy to answer individual family questions. My assistant principals are happy to answer individual family questions. And we're not always going to give you the answer that you want. But we're happy to answer them, and understand if we're not giving you the answer that you want, it isn't because we don't want to give it, but it's because we're being uncompromising about safety. And it means that there are other factors, and we'll tell you what they are. An open lunch falls into that. Not changing classes falls into that. not being able to change more rooms, falls under that. And so I'll give you the why as best I can. But I think it's a really positive statement about the work that has come before, that we're starting to get to the point of individual struggles, individual family needs, and that means we're doing something right. Please thank my team. Take the time, spread the word, and we'll keep plugging away.
And on that point, when we say thank you to you, I know we're saying thank you to you, but I think we are saying thank you to everybody working in the building. And my final thing would be, like, write to your students, teachers, just say thank you to them. Try and get some of your students to say thank you to their teachers. I'm sure some of them already are, but they, I think that the teachers will appreciate that. And I know that you were asking us to try and do that many months ago, Eric. So
yeah, I have the thickest skin of thickest skins. But a thank you to my team and teachers, assistant principals, custodians. I mean, I'm passing along all the thanks, but there's nothing like receiving a nice email out of the blue. And I'll be honest and say I get far more. Things are going well, and I still get far more negative emails than I do positive. And my teachers do too. And my assistant principals do too. So spreading the word on putting out some positivity, and I think we're doing a good job with this. And it's not perfect, and it's never going to be perfect, and we'll do better in the next pandemic. I think we're working incredibly hard. So saying so to my team can only help.
all right, thank you very much. Ramona, did you want to say anything before we come off?
Nothing else. I typed my comment in the chat just to say thank you, and hopefully this is your last pandemic.
I hope so too.
Yes. All right. So thank you very much. I think we can just call the meeting and the principal chat to an end. And we look forward to seeing people back March 22nd, I think, is when we have our speaker series along with another meeting. And February 17th, volunteer recruitment. It's hard to lose some of the old language, but volunteer recruitment, if you are interested in that, then next week on the 17th. All right, thank you very much. Keep safe, everyone. Goodbye. Thanks.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.